So your students have played in the key of C for a while, and you're ready to move into another key. There are a couple of things to consider. So here we go. So when your students are playing in the key of C, sometimes there may be a song you want to do, and the vocal range doesn't work for your kiddos. So then you need to consider, maybe I need another key. The logical progression is to move from the key of C to then move into the key of G. There are a couple of things to think about. First of all, when we started learning, we said, always use this finger for the C chord. Always use this finger for A minor. So you have this finger to play F, or to add, the D, or to go to G7, so that you've got a finger for each fret initially. And what that does is that helps with the muscle memory. That's really important. But now, as you start to think about a second chord, or second key rather, you need to consider that sometimes, based on the context of where the chord falls into a song, there might be an easier way to get to a chord. Because students have memorized where the C chord is, they can almost play that with any finger based on what comes before and what comes after. So that's what will start happening because of the chords they learned first. They will remember them. Moving from the key of C into the key of G, we have to consider what chords we're going to need. And the next couple of lessons, these three are going to be kind of intertwined because they connect. But when you move into the key of G in general, you're going to use a G chord. G, A, B, C is going to be the 4 chord, and D7 is going to be the 5 chord, or D or D7, it can have a 7, will be the 5 chord. So those are the main chords you're going to need. Another chord, as when we did the key of C, we did C, A minor, F, and G7. So C, so now it's going to be G, E minor, C, and D7. And I will get into those, how that works a little bit more in the next video. So my thought is, let's prepare children for the next key. So in the key of G, you're going to have a lot of this shape. These two fingers are separate in the same fret, but separating a string. And so D7, and I use the Hawaiian D7 initially. They can add the other D7 later if they like. But the Hawaiian D7, it usually works in terms of context. You will hear it as a D7. It resolves. So these two fingers do a lot of this. So in the key of C, we had an anchor finger for F and G7 and A minor, but this anchor finger helped us a lot. Well, in this case, you're going to see a lot of this. Now, this is where it gets tricky. If they're going to play a G chord, the books all tell you that they should use these same two fingers, put your fingers on G7, take the G7 off, and add your pinky. So it's like a mirror image of the G7 chord. Well, my experience is that some little ones really have trouble getting their pinky to press down hard enough to make it work. I find that seniors have arthritis, and that makes the pinky a difficulty. So what we need to do is, when we move into the key of G, switch to the shape of G. And the way we can get there is, if you play a song like Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles, and you play it in the key of C, you've got all the chords you know, D minor, F, G7, and then there is an E minor 7. So E minor 7, A minor, So the E minor 7 is these two fingers. Well, I'm going to say when you're playing when you're playing that chord in the key of C, think about it's in context with the A minor. So you're going to, Tommy Tall is what you teach your students to play A minor with. So then play E minor 7 like this, because then you can reach the G7. So the first step for them is to say, if we were going to switch to a G chord, how would we play it? And you will find that many of them like this fingering better. Peter Pointer on the third string, Tommy Tall on the first string, and then your ring finger on the second string for the G chord. And then when you take your ring finger off, you have these two in position, and that's the E minor 7 chord. So teaching the E minor 7 chord in conjunction, or in this song in the key of C, teaches them a new chord. So now you're expanding your chord repertoire. But then you can have the conversation with them about, sometimes we're going to start, now we're at the point where we're going to start shifting some of our fingerings based on what chord comes before and what chord comes after. And so sometimes the students will want to put a little star beside a chord. So they remember this is the time I play this chord differently than I learned it before. So E minor 7, and this is all a long conversation to help you understand that preparing to move into the key of G, you can start by playing E minor 7. E minor 7 is the 6th chord, or built on the 6th degree of the G scale. G, A, B, C, D, E is the 6th degree of the scale. And this will help students sort of learn a new chord. And then you can talk to them about playing it two different ways. Playing it with these two fingers or playing it with these two fingers. And you can practice the difference, which they like better. But when they're playing in the key of C, they will find that fingers 2 and 3, or Tommy Tall and ring finger, work better for them. If they're playing in the key of G, they may find that these two fingers, their peace fingers, work a little better for them. So that's the first step. By playing the song Can't Buy Me Love, and I'm sure there's a play along. I didn't check on that one per se, but playing the song Can't Buy Me Love prepares them for that E minor 7 chord, but it also prepares them for the concept that now if we're going further afield, we may not always use the same fingers to play some of these chords. And it's not wrong, it's not right, it's just now we're maturing and we're thinking a little in a slightly different way. Okay, take care, and I hope that helps you. Bye-bye.